everybody. Welcome to the Oregon Wine Month Program Overview webinar. This is Christina and Kai from the Oregon Wine Board. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping things. You are all on mute, so the best way to ask us a question is to use the question tool in the taskbar. One of us will be moderating the questions, and we'll either get back to you on the chat or we'll answer your question if it's relevant to everybody at the webinar. And feel free to ask those questions as they come up. We're happy to answer them. The recording of this webinar and the slideshow that we'll be going through is going to be available on the industry website at industry.oregonwine.org afterwards. We'll also be following up with an email after with the recording, and we'll also include a survey in that email. So please be sure to answer that survey so that we can continue to make these presentations better for you. So the agenda today, Kai and I are going to be talking about Oregon Wine Month and all of its pieces and the best ways for you guys to engage in the programming. I'm going to be talking about the POS that we're offering, our restaurant and retail programming, and this really cool new online training program we're offering for the first time called Learn Oregon. Kai's going to talk about our media plan, the consumer promotions, and how to integrate that point of sales material into your tasting room. So everything that we talk about today, this is the most important takeaway of the entire webinar. Every single thing we're going to talk about today is available on the Oregon Wine Month Toolkit. So I'm going to hop off here and give you a little tour of the toolkit. So at industry.oregonwine.org, if you go to marketing, under marketing, there's the Oregon Wine Month tab. Click that, and this is the toolkit. So we have like a table of contents here where you can find things. So there is a lot here, so you can go through the table of contents, or you can just kind of scroll through, and we have links and files and everything that you need. So easy one-stop shop to take any action from this webinar that you want. So what exactly is Oregon Wine Month? Let's start from the beginning. Oregon Wine Month started in 2012 by decree of our governor. And the objectives for this month and for this program are a few things. One, it's to encourage a period of increased support from distributors, restaurants, and retailers across the country. You may be thinking, every day is Oregon Wine Month in my world. Why do we need a program that focuses on just one month? But for distributors, restaurants, and retailers, that's not always the case, unfortunately. And so having this month really allows us to have a talking point to approach them with and tools for them to help support our region and what we're doing, even if it is just 1 month out of the year. Number two is to create a platform for winery promotions that stimulate sales in all channels, which we're going to get into a little bit more. And three is to develop a deeper affinity for Oregon wine by forging a connection with consumers. So at the end of the day, whether it's our trade programming or it's what you can do in your tasting room, we're just trying to connect with customers and give them another exciting thing for them to think about Oregon Wine Month, or to think about Oregon wine. So I'm going to get started talking about the point of sales materials for this year. The point of sales materials that we've created are available to distributors who will then distribute the POS to restaurant and retailers across the country. And the POS is also available to display in your tasting room. So I'll talk about the distributor part a little bit later, but for the POS that can be used in your tasting room, you can order up to 2 kits for each tasting room. And so one kit includes 3 posters, 10 bottleneckers, and 5 table tents. So you can order 1 to 2 of those kits, and they'll be delivered. So the deadline to order is by March 1st, and they'll be delivered by April 1st. So March 1st is that really important deadline. And again, you can place those orders on the toolkit. So a quick overview of the POS. We're offering 11 by 17 posters and 8.5 by 11 case cards in just a simple graphic style. These are really designed to pop in retail aisles and in your tasting room. We're also offering graphic versions of these posters as well. So we new this year is the Graceful Wines from the Wilds of Oregon. That shot is from Southern Oregon. And the Wildly Sophisticated Properly Oregonian shot is from the Willamette Valley. We'll be offering neck hangers, and those will come with a little piece of rope string that you can put around the bottle. SKEWCARDS with quotes and facts about Oregon wine. Shelf talkers. And table tents. And so these are great for your tasting room or for more casual dining spots. We also have a handful of graphics that we're not printing, but you're able to download them from the toolkit. So here we have check presenter inserts. So restaurants might choose to print these and cut them up so that they can go in the check presenters when people finish their meals. It's a nice way to promote the month. We also have signage and menu templates. So we've seen people use these in their tasting rooms, talking about a special flight that maybe they'll be featuring in their tasting room throughout the month, or it's certainly applicable in restaurants as well. So this is a quick overview, just a graphic overview of what you're going to be receiving in your tasting room toolkit or in your POS kit. So again, that deadline to order is March 1st, and you can order 1 to 2 kits that include these items. March 1st, March 1st, March 1st, and you can place that order on the Oregon Wine Month toolkit. So now I'm going to hand this over to Kai. He's going to talk about the consumer elements of the Oregon Wine Month program.
Thank you, Christina, and good morning to all of you joining us. Thank you for being here and making time. I'm going to talk, as Christina mentioned, about our consumer programming elements, show you a few examples from years past, and lay out our messaging strategy so you can see what channels or options might work best for your business this year. To support consumer awareness both in the Northwest but also nationally, we will again be running a consumer sweepstakes to win a trip to Oregon. This year's package will be centered for the first time in Portland and featuring our urban wineries, as well as include a day trip to the North Willamette Valley. The grand prize will feature several winery visits, a restaurant supportive of Oregon's industry, and an experiential element that reinforces Oregon's reputation as a culinary trendsetter. In years past, we've included cheese making workshops and similar things that allow folks to get hands-on in a way that is always connected and supportive of fine wine and fine dining. The sweepstakes will be included in our digital campaign, and as I mentioned up top, allows us to offer Wine Month messaging to consumers anywhere. This is the one program element that is agnostic of geography. So its function is, as you can see, to reach target markets outside of Oregon, very importantly to capture consumer leads, especially in those target markets, but everywhere for ongoing messaging. And it's also a really easy value add for you and all of our Wine Month partners. It's such an easy ad to include in a social post or a club newsletter. The barrier to entry is very low. Last year, the sweepstakes received over 16,000 entries, of which almost 10,000 were brand new first-time contacts for the OWB that we've added to our consumer database. The sweeps entry period will run from March 15th to May 31st, and in advance, finalized graphics and sample copy will be available on the toolkit. As Christina mentioned, everything you need is there. but I will give you the caveat that the final sweepstakes material is probably the only thing that is not officially uploaded to the toolkit yet. So return for that in mid-March. The OWB consumer website, our OregonWine.org site, experiences, not surprisingly, its highest traffic in April and May as a result of Wine Month. And the event calendar on that site is second in traffic only to that sweepstakes entry page. This is a significant portion of our promotional muscle during Oregon Wine Month. As Christina described, Wine Month is an opportunity for your tasting rooms to build tactical promotions and awareness sort of on top of our awareness campaign. And so events in wine country and driving visitors out to those events is a principal goal of ours. Calendar listings are free for any and all wine-related events. So not only are we strongly encouraging you to contribute your events, but we also encourage you to share this invitation with your trade network. If a restaurant you are present in is having a dinner or a flight or anything, we welcome those additions to the calendar. And a quick reminder that the consumer calendar events are actually submitted via the industry website. So the screen you're looking at now is the homepage of the industry website. You can, of course, find the submission link on the toolkit, but I just want everybody to know that year-round, you can find it right on the homepage of the industry site under that News and Events tab. You'll see the arrow points there to post consumer events, post to the consumer events calendar. And then I also wanted to just quickly touch on a few tips of sort of best practices for submitting to the calendar. When doing so, there is a field that you also see on your screen in front of you called event categories. This field auto-populates as you start typing. So if you start to type Oregon, you'll get a few options, and one of them is Oregon Wine Month. Please tag your Oregon Wine Month events with this category. The calendar is filterable and searchable by those categories, and there have been many times in the past that we've shared a link directly to Oregon Wine Month categorized events.
There is a question that came in. Someone said, I've submitted an event before and was later told that I submitted them to the industry calendar. What's the difference? So the Oregon Wine Board has two calendars. One is the consumer calendar of events, and one is the industry calendar of events. It can be a little confusing. So the consumer calendar is for events that are directed toward, that are hosted in your tasting room or, in another venue that you want a consumer audience for. And the industry calendar is for industry-related events like, viticulture, education, or a winemaking workshop, or something that you want to draw, or like a tasting room will sometimes have like an industry night or something. So anything that you want to promote to the Oregon wine industry will go on the industry calendar. For Oregon Wine Month, we're talking about the consumer calendar. So I hope that clears up that question.
And this is the submission form for the consumer calendar that we're looking at here. And this is that category field that I described. As you can see, if you start typing Oregon Wine, you can get an option for Oregon Wine Month. So please add those as part of your process. And then last, just really quickly on the calendar, the calendar events, as you probably mostly know, are manually approved here in the office. And we do that really just to ensure that the formatting is relatively consistent across the calendar, principally that the date submitted is accurate, so that our consumers, our users, will find a reliable and predictable experience. And so I often see in that submission process of sort of variety of approaches to the event submission. Another just sort of best practice tip that I would recommend is put your winery name in the title of the event. Often we see Pinot Noir barrel tasting. And if you click through to the event, you'll see that it is organized by J. Christopher and is at location Y and so on and so forth. But until you click through, you don't actually know who's offering that Pinot Noir barrel sampling. So at Oregon Wine Month, add a winery name or business name in the event title. And if you've got a photo, everybody appreciates them. Moving on, so the calendar is best for individual winery events. Even if they're repeating events, they're still individual winery events. So for Wine Month, we also build out a page for regional associations that are offering multi-winery events because they offer a unique experience for consumers to explore Oregon wine in greater detail. They're great for inspiring visits, and they provide us with events that can be promoted on a broader scale, which is not always the case with individual wineries. So I'm going to jump out here again real quick so we can just take a look at that page here on the consumer website. This is just OregonWine.org. You'll see we have a heading for Oregon Wine Month, and under that heading we have featured events. So when you have time, or now while I'm talking, take a look here. If you're participating in any of these events, if your winery or your association are participating in any of these multi-winery events, and you see something that is amiss, please do let me know. And even more importantly, if you are participating in a multi-winery event in either April or May that you do not see listed here, please let me know. Shoot me an email, kai@oregonwine.org. I want to make sure these unique opportunities are captured. Another promotion that I want to make sure we're all aware of, in addition to driving traffic to your tasting rooms throughout the month, we also are working to create consumer pull at restaurants around the state. To that end, the OWB will be enrolling restaurants in Portland and around Oregon and around the country in a month-long Oregon Wine Flight program and promoting that program throughout the month. Christina will also touch on this element a bit. But last year we had more than 100 participating restaurants around Oregon and in select cities around the country. So it's never too early to consider who amongst your network and portfolio might be best suited for this kind of opportunity. And Christina already touched on many of the POS items that are available for download and customization to help those accounts share the opportunity with their guests. Let's look at the messaging flow the OWB will be taking to promote these consumer-facing elements. So our campaign messaging will begin in mid-March to build brand awareness for Oregon and Wine Month, principally with the sweepstakes messaging. This is helpful because, as I mentioned, it lets us talk to anyone, anywhere, but it also helps build our consumer database. As those emails come in, we are growing the network we have to share further messaging. In April, we'll start thinking about our trips to Oregon and wine country with event opportunities as well as the touring guide solicitation, both to order a physical copy and view the digital copy. In late April and beginning in May, we'll strongly drive engagement with the principal Oregon Wine Month activities, such as reservations at those restaurants I just mentioned, the individual winery events on the event calendar, as well as those featured AVA events. That'll continue throughout the month, and then we'll close May and transition into June by inviting engagement beyond May with some follow-up medium and long-form content on our own channels, both social and our e-news, that we've helped grow throughout the program. So the media plan to trumpet all these messages, to use, we will use various bullhorns to share New for 2019, we've partnered with the Oregonian and Oregon Live, which together receive over 1 million readers each month. This partnership will include a paid social media component, including Facebook Live videos showcasing winery events and restaurant promotions, Oregon Live advertorial marketing, a third-party sweepstakes platform that will encourage users to share their contests within their own networks and gain the ability for extra entries to increase their odds if they do so. Digital display ads across Google's network and print promotions in the Oregonian, including a couple of full paper wraps that the paper uses a funny word that I was not familiar with called spadia, but anyway, there'll be a few spadia, yes. There'll be a few wraps that encapsulate the entire printed paper that will prominently feature Wine Month events and activities, and are really going to be very attention-getting and a strong way to raise awareness throughout the state for the month.
And I think that this is a really exciting partnership. A lot of what we've heard from you guys in the survey is people come into my tasting room and they don't even know it's Oregon Wine Month. And so this year, that's something that Kai really tried to address. And everyone gets the Oregonian. So it'll be good.
They really do have an impressive reach, both print and digital. And the Oregonian is, I'm sure many of you know, is actually owned by a parent company called Advance Publications, which is a very large conglomerate of media entities and includes folks like Condé Nast and lots of others. And I mention that because their ability to mine data and insights are not limited to the Oregonian specifically or the behavior of Oregonian readers, but they're in fact able to mine data from all of their brother and sister properties, which means if we want to know, as we think about Oregon visitation, how Condé Nast traveler readers behave, for example, we don't have to estimate how they behave. We can actually literally use Condé Nast traveler reader data to inform how we target, for example, Google display ads or social media targeting. They also have pretty robust third-party partnerships with folks like MasterCard, which can actually tie, some direct purchase behavior to an online display of affinity or preference. So we're excited about their ability across a variety of channels to help us spread the word with Wine Month. We're, of course, utilizing our own social feeds and consumer networks, and are, again, working with Travel Oregon, as we do every year, to target their pre-qualified tourists. So all of these messages, more or less, will point folks to our Oregon Wine Month campaign hub. And the reason that we do this, of course, is to expose those people to the great events that are going on around the state, where they can look at the event calendar, where they can read about participating restaurants, and we can get them out into your tasting rooms and get them making reservations and ordering Oregon wine by the glass. And then really quickly, just some examples from past Oregon Wine Month years as to how some of your peers in the industry have used some of these materials. Christina touched on this already. This template was actually originally conceived for the restaurant program, but you can see here Cathedral Ridge put a recipe on it that included a specific pairing of their wine. The template is available to download. This is, I think, a relatively easy and quite smart way to both raise awareness for the program, send your consumer home with a physical takeaway, while incentivizing them to find ways and opportunities to pair your wine with their home life. I don't need to mention social media is a great tool. There are many resources like the one you see on your right that can be just downloaded from the toolkit and uploaded with no additional effort. And then there are graphics, as you see on the left, that can be added to your unique posting. And just another example here of a very strong incorporation of Wine Month into the branding and identity of an event that correlates with the calendar. And last, you know, the ability, the privilege that you've been granted by your mailing list to drop into their inbox, I know we all take very seriously, and it's a great opportunity to tell a slightly longer story, often one that you can't really summarize for social media. There's a host of materials ready to be dropped into any club newsletter or general newsletter throughout April and May. Those people are often, as you know, your strongest advocates, and so it would be very helpful for them all to know about Wine Month as a campaign and keep it top of mind for them. So what can you do? You can share your AVA or association event or passport or special activity with me. As I just mentioned, you can share this campaign with your mailing list. Please do start planning an event for April and or May, and or both and all, and share that event on our consumer calendar. Again, that really is a highly trafficked resource throughout the year, but particularly in April, May. We'll have the sweepstakes for you to drop in as a value add or as a standalone blast, and encourage your restaurant account to offer a wine flight. As Christina already mentioned, POS materials for your tasting room, order by March 1st for delivery in April. And of course, don't forget to hashtag Oregon Wine Month so we can see what you're up to and consumers searching can follow along. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm back, Christina. Thank you, Kai. We're going to talk about now the trade programming for Oregon Wine Month. Kai just talked about things you can do in your tasting room and to engage directly with your DTC audience. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what you can do now to start engaging restaurants, retailers, and your distributor in Oregon Wine Month. And I actually see some distributors are on the webinar. So hi, Trisha. And she's from Boston, and I also saw Lisa from Brand Management here in Portland. So thank you guys for joining. Both of those women have been doing a lot with Oregon Wine Month across the country. So a little bit about how Oregon Wine Month works when you're thinking in the trade realm. So the Oregon Wine Board has created a package that we're calling the distributor package. It includes some of the elements that I'm going to talk about later. But the idea is that you as a winery will take that distributor package, add your own brand promotions and incentives. So add special pricing for the month of May or for Q2, add sales rep incentives for leading up to Oregon Wine Month. So adding your layer of brand messaging, talking then to your distributor to get their buy-in and to get their support and excitement about the Oregon Wine Month program. And from there, having your distributor reps and your winery national reps then start engaging restaurant and retail buyers across the country. And this will all ultimately result in increased customer awareness of Oregon wine and what we care most about, sales. It's that easy, guys. So first of all, thank you so much for the hard work of a handful of really hardworking wineries across the state. Some of you and some of your colleagues have signed up over 31 distributors across 19 states. So this isn't something we've just started talking about. We had a webinar in November, how to pitch your distributor on Oregon Wine Month. So starting in November, a core group of wineries went out across the country with the Oregon Wine Board distributor package and started pitching distributors. 31 distributors have signed up, 19 states. You can see which distributors have signed up on the Oregon Wine Month Toolkit. So I encourage you guys to look at that that page of distributors listed to see if your distributor is participating. It's getting a little late now to pitch them on it, but there are a lot of distributors already on there. So if your distributor's on there, you can, really start engaging them on what their plans are for May. So why would a distributor want to participate in Oregon Wine Month? Why do you want your distributor to really engage in this program? I have a really amazing case study that was shared by Cutting Edge Selections in Ohio. Ohio is my home state, for those of you who don't know, so I love Ohio. My contact at Cutting Edge, he shared some really amazing numbers. They participated in Oregon Wine Month for the first time in 2018, and they ran programming across all of their Oregon portfolio. And they saw in May alone, they saw 33% growth in volume of Oregon sales during Oregon Wine Month. But not only were they selling more Oregon wine, they also saw an increase in the average bottle price of Oregon, which those two stats don't normally go hand in hand. So it's really encouraging to see distributors not only selling more wine, but selling more expensive Oregon wine because of this Oregon Wine Month program. And so as I mentioned, they ran this program across their entire Oregon portfolio, but they did have some opportunities for brands in that portfolio to participate and to submit samples or to allow us a sample allowance for their sales reps. And so they saw that there was a growth of all Oregon brands during the month, but they saw the most growth in brands that participated in their program. So this is what's really important, is you want to look on that page to see which distributors are participating across the country. If your distributor is participating, contact them today, contact them tomorrow, and ask them what they're doing and how you can help as a brand for their cause. Because in the long run, it'll pay off. You'll sell more wine. So I mentioned before, the Oregon Wine Board is printing and shipping POS to any distributor across the country as much as they want. But they need to place their order by March 1st. So you only have a couple more, I guess it's like a week. So make sure that your distributor knows that deadline and is going to take advantage of this part of the program. We shipped POS to over 70 distributors last year. So let's keep that number growing. So switching to the on-trade section of our programming, things that you can do to promote Oregon Wine Month to restaurants. The Oregon Wine Board is going to be promoting any restaurant that signs up to feature a flight of 3 Oregon wines throughout May. And we'll promote them on our website, which is going to be a key messaging point in the advertising that Kai spoke about. And what I really like about this promotion and why we saw over 100 restaurants participate over the last year and the past few years, over 100 restaurants every year participate, is it has nothing to do with price. This isn't a discount flight. You're not encouraging them to lose money by featuring this flight. It can be a flight of anything they want. They could put reserve Oregon wines or anything that is interesting to them, and it allows them to be flexible and also participate in our program. So there are a few other ways that restaurants can get involved, including hosting an event, displaying POS, conducting staff trainings, and we created a one-sheet to help explain the ways that restaurants can get involved. So it's super easy. You can download it from the toolkit and hand it out to your restaurant accounts or send it through email if that's a way that you communicate with them. Also make sure that your distributor has this sheet as well. So a new program that I'm really excited about that's designed to train trade members to sell Oregon wine. We're calling it Learn Oregon, and it's a 4-week online education curriculum. And it was developed by Bree, who is the Master of Wine here in our office. And it was developed to educate members of the trade about Oregon wine, but to also help them to sell Oregon wine more confidently. So it's a training program leading up to Oregon Wine Month to help them in that endeavor. The curriculum begins on March 4th. The deadline to sign up for this is March 1st. So this curriculum is especially designed for anyone in the trade. So it could be a sommelier, it could be a bartender, a server, a busboy, anyone that's interested in learning about Oregon wine. A distributor sales rep, it would be great for. So the program is designed for those people. However, that said, there will be a lot of information that would be helpful for your sales teams as well, your tasting room staff or your national sales teams. So make sure to share and you guys are all welcome to sign up for it as well. The curriculum, so as I mentioned, it begins on March 4th. It will be it'll be delivered through email. So everyone participating will receive 2 emails a week on topics including just an overview of the state and its key selling points. We'll be talking about labeling regulations, environmental sustainability, and the last week we'll be studying tips and tricks for selling Oregon wine. So there will be each week there will be a critical thinking question that participants will be encouraged to answer, and people can have the opportunity to win weekly prizes and giveaways based on their responses. So the education session will culminate with a 45-minute live webinar presented by Bree. That webinar will be recorded if people can't visit, but that will just be a nice capstone to the month and get people really excited about Oregon wine.
We have a question. Rachel asks if this is the same as the masterclass or another education opportunity.
Yeah, so this is a masterclass series. So it was developed by Bree, who's a master of wine, but it's really thinking outside of the box. We're trying to think of education not as just, getting everyone together into one room and sitting through an hour-long lecture. This is a curriculum that's developed by a master, that's delivered through email, and it's going to be multimedia. So it'll include videos, presentations, and then it'll culminate with a more standard masterclass at the end, the webinar. Yeah.
Thank you.
So it's a little different, but we're really hoping to reach more people through this platform than we would in just a regular sit-down class. And it's amazing, we've had over 800 people across the world register for this. 800 people. We're going for 1,000, so please share that information and let's get members of the trade excited about Oregon wine. One quick note, in the past years, we've offered the Oregon Wine Month Rep of the Year program to distributor sales reps in Washington and Oregon. We are not offering the Rep of the Year program this year. Unfortunately, over the past few years, we've seen dwindling nominations for that program, and it just doesn't seem to be resonating and motivating the distributor sales reps. So this year we're packaging the incentives into that Learn Oregon education curriculum and offering incentives through education and prizes, getting people involved in that Learn Oregon program. So we're gonna try something new this year and see if it resonates. by the numbers of people already registered for the Learn Oregon program, I think it seems like we've tapped into a nerve that people are more interested in and more motivated by. So we'll be, studying engagement in that and take our learnings for 2020 and see what we're going to do next year. But this year, we are not going to be offering that program.
I'll just jump in real quick. We've had a few questions about how to register for that Learn Oregon program. It is, of course, in the toolkit, but I also have just shared it with all of the attendees this morning via the questions box. I'm not exactly sure what this looks like on your end, but...
Did you send it to all?
Yep. So you'll see Katie Selby asked, how do we sign up for the class? And the answer is it includes a link on the industry website where you can learn more and register. But if that's less convenient or not visible for any reason, it's also linked on the Oregon Wine Month Toolkit.
Cool. Also new this year is we've selected a target market, New York City, for Oregon Wine Month. I'm working with a handful of distributors that are located in New York City to engage Oregon Wine Month programming there. We're offering a special incentive for distributors in New York City who want to get involved. We are, as many of you know, the Oregon Wine Board is headed to New York. We're taking our Oregon Wine Trail event there. So on May 6th, as a part of Oregon Wine Month, we're going to be doing this Oregon Wine Trail event with 60 wineries. That event will include a trade master class, trade and media tasting, and then later on a ticketed consumer tasting. So please invite your reps and your buyers that are based in New York to this event to get a little extra Oregon wine education and tasting, and please promote it to your New York City consumers. If they're in your database, part of your DTC efforts, let them know we're coming to town. Even if your winery isn't going to New York, the rising tide raises all ships, and I think that's the metaphor, right?
Yeah, that's the adage, yeah.
And even if your winery is not there, if your neighbor is there, it's great to show them some love and get some consumers coming to that event. So a few things that you can do to make the most out of Oregon Wine Month. Please share that POS order form. Where can that be found?
The toolkit.
The toolkit. That deadline for your distributor to order POS is March 1st. That's also your deadline for tasting room POS. Plan a sales goal for your distributor for the month of May. All of the distributors that I know of in Oregon are participating in Oregon Wine Month. So plan a sales goal with them, plan some programming with them to help support them in their Oregon Wine Month efforts. Pitch a flight of wine to a restaurant. Make sure if they are going to participate, that they sign up for on the Oregon Wine Month Toolkit so we can promote them. Invite all of your trade contacts and your staff to sign up for the Learn Oregon online training. And schedule tastings at retail outlets for May. And I'm sure that you guys have a lot of other ideas that you can get involved. These are just a few easy ways to start thinking about now. So again, everything that we talked about today can be found on the industry website. So it's industry.oregonwine.org. You go to marketing under Oregon Wine Month. All the links, all of the files, all of the order forms, the presentations can all be found here on the toolkit. So let's have a great Oregon Wine Month. I hope you guys are all really excited about it. Kai and I have been working on this programming since June of last year, so we're excited to see it come to life. If you have any questions, now is a good time to ask them, or you can send us an email. We'll be following up with a recording of this presentation, so you can watch it again and again and again. Are there any questions?
Just one is a little specific. Susie asked that she signed up for the Learn Oregon program a few weeks ago, but doesn't believe she's received a confirmation. Should she have received a confirmation?
You shouldn't have received a confirmation yet, but you will be shortly. I'm going to be sending out something to everyone who's registered so far to just give you an idea of what to expect and how to get ready for it.
Joseph asks that we bounced through that pathway for the Wine Month Toolkit somewhat quickly. Can we show that again?
Yes, good question. So I'm going to start from the beginning. Let's pretend you're on Google. Oh, that's
we're going to go to Christina's Gmail.
No. Okay.
So make sure you clear your cookies before you host a webinar.
Okay, so we're going to go to industry.oregonwine.org. And this is the hub for all of the Oregon Wine Board's programming and everything that we do and offer to you as wineries. So this is the homepage. You're going to go to the Marketing tab. You're going to scroll down to Oregon Wine Month. And this page is where all the links, all the graphics, everything are. There's a helpful little table of contents here at the beginning. So if you're looking for something specific, you can see what section it's listed under because there is a lot here. Or you can just scroll through.
Yeah, before you scroll, Christina, why don't you show them that table of contents is all what are called anchor links. So if you want just point of sale material, if you click on point of sale, it's going to jump you straight down to that section.
It's like magic. So that is how you navigate
Great.
the webpage.
Well, that was the last question. We'll hang on for another second if anyone wants to lob one more in. Otherwise, as Christina mentioned, we are recording this, and it will be added to the industry website and shared via email in the next day or two.
What was that word that the Oregonian calls the paper wrap?
Spadia.
Spadia.
Keep your eye out for the Spadias coming end of April in the Oregonian.
Okay. I think that's everything. So thank you guys for coming, and thank you for selling Oregon Wine Month, and over and out. Thanks. Bye.